Alright, so now this is how to skin a crow for taxidermy. Alright? So first you're going to start off by trying to split the center feathers. Just gotta try to split them the best you can. It's alright if you don't get them all split. See, what I do most of the time is just find a bald spot. Then once you get it cut, you just flip your blade upside down and run it right up under it. And then that gets you started. You gotta be very careful with birds because their skin is very, very thin. Alright. It's alright if you lose feathers here and there. But like I said, you gotta be very careful. Your skin will tear and rip very, very easily. And you can make it as long. You can make the initial incision as long or as short as you want it. Just as long as you're able to sew up whatever you cut. Like, you're gonna need it a lot longer than what I have right now anyway. But like I said, what you cut, you're gonna have to be able to sew. Which on birds, it's not very complicated. They have so many feathers you can hide just about anything. But what you're gonna do, just work down the sides once you get your cut. What you're gonna be going for is the back legs. And try not to cut into the gut. That's very important. Or it could be like this one, already be shot in the gut. So there's no changing it. Sometimes it's easier with birds to skin them when they're partially froze, because birds can get very bloody, and if they're partially froze, they're not as bloody. You just gotta work the stiffness out of the leg and pop it right through the hole. So once you really only need to get up to about the joint up at the thigh, right at the very top, and just cut it right there. Because you can come back through it and clean up everything later. Because you're going to leave that bone in anyway for the mount. So just cut right through the joint. You don't need no branch cutters or nothing to break the bone. You really don't want to break the bone right here, because it will cut the hide. There. Okay, so I got the joint cut. So now I just need to work my way around and cut the meat, so that the leg is no longer connected to the body. Alright, so now I got that cut from there. Now we're gonna go for the other leg. Alright, so just like the other side, you're gonna need to cut it right at the joint. Right at that spot. Might take a minute to find the joint. Sometimes it's kind of hard to find. There. Alright, there it went. He wants furs like this one, well, kind of furs. Makes every cut harder. Makes it cold too. When you're moving any of the skin on birds, especially crows, I would not use a knife. Just use your finger just to break the connective tissue. Because any little slip up will make a huge hole. And the hole won't just stop right there, it'll just keep on ripping. Alright, got that leg done. So now we're gonna start moving back towards the vent. Sometimes it's better to work your way around the back on your way to getting to the vent, because it makes it a whole lot easier to cut through the tailbone. Because it's hard to cut through a tailbone without cutting anything else. Alright, so there's its vent. Just gonna want to cut right through all that. But don't cut too far, because you'll cut through the skin. So now you got the vent cut. Now you gotta cut the tail bone. You just grab the tail and lift up. It'll expose it all. Now the hard part is cutting all this, cutting through the tail bone without cutting any of the back skin. Just gotta find the joint and go for it. The joints aren't always easy to find either, especially on the tailbone. Alright, so now I'm through the tailbone. And now you just gotta, I like setting it up on its front like that, and just work your way down. And I also like hanging it up by its rear end, like that, and that makes it a whole lot easier to work down the wings. And from the correct way to do this, but it's how I find it to be easiest, so it's just the way I do it. Just gotta work your way down both sides, and you'll know when you get to the wing. It's easier to cut at the wing joint from the back, not the chest, because it has all the breast protecting it on the front. You can just cut right through on the back. Just gotta figure out right where it is. Just cut right in. Okay, so now I got the wing worked down. Alright, so now I'm gonna cut the wing joint. We're just gonna leave all the bones in there for now. Just like that. Now we gotta do the same to the other side. I'm just gonna find the joint on the back. Cut right through it. There it is. The wing joints are the hardest joints to find, because they're tucked away right up behind the breast and all that. Yep, you got it. Alright, so now you're just going to pull all the skin right down its head. Normally, you can just pull and it'll come right down. But this crow has a big head and it's not working. You don't want to pull too hard either, because the skin on the neck will rip right off. So there's the base of the skull right there. So I keep working. Okay. So here's the whole skull right there. Now you can skin down to the eyes if you want. That's usually what I do, to put all the clay in and all that. But you can set the eyes from the outside too. But that's just not the way I like to do it. I like to skin my way all the way down to the eyes, because then you don't have the eyelid in your way and all that. Yeah, cut through the ears on a bird like you would any other mammal. So now I'm down to the eye. Just like any mammal, just cut right behind the eye, and the eyelid will just follow it right down. Alright, so now you should be able to pop the eyes out from here. Alright, that's one eye. Alright, so now we're down to the second one. Might have to do some cutting behind the eye as it comes out. It don't always come out real easy. There's eye number 2. Alright, so now just want to try to cut all of the flesh off the back of the head. And like I usually cut the bottom half of the skull off too. That way it makes it a whole lot easier to clean the brain out. Because I always use the real skulls for all my bird mounts. Then you just grab the throat and the tongue will come right out with it. So you gotta cut through all that too. Need a different knife. Alright. Now I got a bigger knife. You can just cut right down the back of the skull. Just like that. So now You're gonna want to take Q-tips. You're gonna want to take Q-tips and just poke them down in there in the skull and clean it all out. And then you're gonna want to submerge the wings and cut all the way down along it. See, I usually hang the wings up like I did this. Just put this knot around the knob right here. You skin it right down. Just through all of that. Then you do the same thing with the leg. I only go down to about the knee joint right here. And then you gotta cut all the meat off the bones. And you got to prepare everything for the mount. And that will be part 2. Alright. So if you're looking on how to skin it for taxidermy, then go back and check out part 1. But now we're going to be skinning out the wings and the legs. So to begin with, you're just going to want to hang up one of the wings by the nub of the bone, and you're just going to make your way down. You got to cut and add pressure as you cut. And once you get down to where the feathers are, like right here, you're going to want to sink your knife down in and pop it out. You just want to cut right down along where the feathers go in and just pop it right out. And I usually skin down to about the second joint down. This next joint coming up is where I usually stop.